Okay, good evening to everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Alan Malloy, and we're doing the Monday night class today, meditation class. But first we'll start by acknowledging the traditional owners, the Bunwarang people of the Kulin Nation, upon whose land we're now teaching Buddhist philosophy. Hope to make the world a better place. So that's sort of our goal. Let's hope we can do it. We can do something in here. Hello. For those of you who were here last time, we had a problem with the microphone. We had some bad karma in the in the wires that Damien fixed. So he's fixed the speaker wires. So hopefully we'll be able to use the microphone without any problems this week. Yeah, sorry about that, but technology has its challenges. Yeah. So we just meditate here. You've actually, a few people, I mean, you guys come here because you want something. I don't know what you want, but I can sort of guess that, maybe come here because you want to meditate, want to get a bit of peace or something. Or for a lot of people, they've really struggled with a lot of things in their lives, issues, and physical, emotional, psychological, personal issues. Hopefully we can give you something. I mean, we're not therapists or anything like that. We just present the basics of Buddhist philosophy and practice. And, if they work for you, that's great. If they don't, well, that's okay too. At least you tried. I mean, but I really think there is something universal in a lot of the things we do here that can be applicable to sort of just about anybody in any situation. It's because they're sort of really fundamental truths. For example, the first fundamental one is that if we calm the mind, we're happier. I mean, that's sort of a truism. If you calm your mind, you're happy. If the mind's agitated, is restless, it can't sit still, it can't think properly, it can't, sort of even talk or sort of remember things in heightened states of agitation or make plans or follow through plans, then it's really causes a lot of damage to yourself, your family, your workplace, everything. So it's really devastating when the mind is agitated, when the mind can't sit still. In meditation, what do? Is we sort of go the opposite direction to that uncontrolled mind, and we say, okay, we're going to just stabilise the mind, be very still, and then see what happens. What is that experience? And really, when you do it, I mean, some people can't. I know their personality, it's going to be so hard for them to do that at the beginning. But for others, they can slot into it. But when they do, anyone who can eventually experience that, and for some people it'll be very difficult, but eventually, if they do that, they will find that there's a certain level of peace. Now, some people can't do it at the beginning because their minds are very restless, and they're sort of like born that way, or they've got some chemical imbalance, they've got the ADHD, they've got the hyperactivity, they've got the trauma in early childhood or whatever. And all these things, they're all karmic obscurations. That's the way we would call that is karmic obscurations. Now, they can be purified and can get through stuff. It is possible to get through stuff. There was one, at the time of the Buddha, there was one monk. This is a long story, but I'll cut it, give it a really short story. I love stories, but this is a really long story. The short story of this is that this monk was born with certain mental defects. And so they thought he was like really intellectually disabled. And then he was so much so that he wanted to become a monk, and the Buddha let him. But when he went to the monastery, he couldn't remember, a 4-stanza verse. Even the monks would repeat it so often to him, the teacher would repeat it to him, so that even the shepherds in the adjoining field knew the verse, but still this monk didn't. He couldn't learn 4 lines. He couldn't learn 4 lines of a text. And so eventually they said to him, okay, well, look, you're stupid, we can't help you. And then the Buddha said, he was taken to the Buddha, and the Buddha said, no, I've got a way for him. I want you to go and clean the monk's shoes. So he went there and he sat there cleaning the monks' shoes outside the temple, because the monks have to take their shoes off like with, and he cleaned the monks' shoes outside the temple. And he just sat there day after day cleaning the monks' shoes. And then eventually he got, oh wow, I feel a bit... His mind started to clear just by doing an action. So sometimes people have to do physical actions. Not everyone's meant to sit on the floor and do nothing. And then as he cleaned them, his mind became a bit clearer. And the Buddha realised this and thought, okay, now we're going to get you to do the next thing. Very skillful training. The next thing is we're going to get you to sweep the monastery courtyard, because there always leaves and everything. So he gave him a broom, and he got to one end of the courtyard and he started sweeping, and he swept all the brooms off, all the leaves up, and then when he turned around, the leaves had come back. And so then he had to sweep it again, and then when he turned around, they'd all come back. And the Buddha would make the leaves come back. He kept making the leaves come back. A bit like, you watch that Karate Kid type movies, a bit like Karate Kid 1, sort of the prequel or whatever, but a bit like that. And so he just kept doing that, and the Buddha, until eventually and then the Buddha told him to say just a few words like dirt be gone, stains be gone. As he cleaned it, dirt be gone, stains be gone, dirt be gone, stains be gone. And then as he was repeating those two lines, dirt be gone, stains be gone, 6 words, then gradually his mind became clearer, and he realised that when the Buddha, when he was saying those words, it wasn't just the leaves and the dirt he was sweeping up, it was actually his mental defilements he was getting rid of, his mental obscurations, and the stains of those mental obscurations in his mind. And gradually as he did that, he became clearer and clearer, and then he could remember things, and then he became an arhat. He became liberated. He attained nirvana in that life and became a great teacher. He's one of what we call the 16 arhats. So he started off by being intellectually disabled, a chaotic mind, unable to focus, to becoming liberated in one lifetime. So quite inspiring, but carefully guided. So who knows? That might be any of us, mightn't it? It could be if we had a good enough teacher who knew what we needed. Now, I think some of the teachers we have got that, but not me. So I'm just going to give you the generic stuff, and you try. We'll see if it works. But anyhow, we just meditate. So just meditating, and meditating's. I mean, most of you have been here before. Is anyone new here today? Maybe just anyone new? Okay, cool. Have you meditated before? Oh, good. What sort of meditation, can I ask? Or?
Lots of different kinds.
Oh, cool.
Predominantly at the moment, body, mind, centering.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so lots of different body, mind, sort of mindfulness, awareness, sort of body and mind, or? Yeah, cool. Okay, cool, excellent. That's very, very good. Okie dokie. So in this meditation, it's really the simplest one we do. This is a stabilising meditation where we just focus on the mind. We're doing it together, which gives us energy, which gives us all individual energy. We draw on each other's energy. And it's in a holy place where many holy beings have been, so therefore we get the support of that. We get the support of that. So it's really cool. It's really fun, and it should be fun. This is the sort of what tend to do in the first bit doing this. Then we have a little bit of a talk about Buddhist philosophy, and then we meditate on a Buddhist topic to generate a positive state of mind. In this case, we've been going through the mind of love, and then we're going to go onto the mind of compassion. So those minds of love and compassion, if we can have techniques to develop them, then that's very beneficial in daily life. Very, very beneficial. So you get in whatever meditation posture you're happy with, and then sitting in a chair, that's fine. And then just keep, if sitting in a chair, have your feet on a cushion or on something like that. Keep your back straight. And then we tend to keep our hands in our laps. Some people have them on their knees. It's not a problem, whatever you're familiar with. It can be in the laps, with usually the right hand on the left, or you can do the left on the right. It doesn't matter, with the thumbs touching. And then we just breathe in and out through our nostrils. It's very, very simple. We'll do this for about 10 or 15 minutes. And if we start losing the object of the meditation, then we'll just gently bring your mind back. But sometimes it helps to count the breath, so you can say 1, in and out is 1, in and out is 2, in and out is 3. And count up to maybe 7, and then you can start again from 1 again. And when you get up to 7 comfortably, repeatedly, then you can go up to 21. When you can get comfortably up to 21, then you stop counting and just focus on the breathing itself. You can focus on the breath at the nostrils, or just imagine it going down to your tummy going out, then breathing out through your nostrils. We don't breathe through our mouths because that's unnatural. It also increases anxiety and disturbances in the winds. We just breathe through the nostrils. So just breathe through the nostrils. So we're just going to briefly do that. I'll say one thing in about halfway through, which will be just bring your mind back to the meditation. Bring your mind back to the meditation. That's what I'll say in about 7 minutes. Now we'll be quiet and we just meditate. If your mind is wandering, just bring your attention back to the room, bring your attention back to the meditation object. Just focus your mind on the meditation object. Okay, you can gradually cease the meditation and come back to your awareness of the room, etc. Okay. So quite like hearing people's comments on experiences of meditation and what they find beneficial, what they don't find beneficial, all that sort of stuff. I mean, nice to share it, nice for other people to hear that too. Anyway. Yep, sorry. Oh, good. Okay, so counting for you, counting the breaths gives you the focus. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Enables you to control your thoughts and stay away. Yeah, cool. Any other sort of comments and things people use? Okay, techniques they use? I'm the opposite of can't count. Oh, that's fantastic, yeah.
Who's the lady last month?
Don't know.
Claire
Claire did it. Oh, that's excellent. See, that's...
mentioned it, it's great.
Yeah, the Claire... Okay, the 9-point breathing meditation, that's very, very good. Yeah, that's another great technique for getting rid of the discursive thoughts. Yeah, absolutely. Because that's more focused with the practice of controlling the winds in the central channel and then the side channel. So in those meditations we're actually then developing to utilise the more subtle wind energy in the body. The wind and the mind go together, it's said. So the wind is an energy and allows the mind to function. And so if we can bring the wind more and the mind, if we can bring the wind into the central channel, then we naturally bring the mind into the central channel, and that's where those sort of techniques come from. Fantastic. Anything else? Yes, hello.
I think I found it you wake during the night. You try during the night, you get back to sleep.
Very good. So if you wake up during the night, then do some meditation. What sort of meditation do you do during the night if you wake up and... Just breathing. Good. Just a breathing meditation. Yeah, very, very good. Yep, very, very good. Geshe Doga once described a very beautiful meditation where when he says trouble at night, he meditates like there are these... nets around him, different colours, white, red, yellow, green and blue. White, red, yellow, green, blue. Nets around him, and like a shield almost, which is composed of the Buddha's energy. It's composed of the Buddha's energy, and so this protects him at night. It protects him at night. Yeah, so he's actually protected by the Buddha's energy. I think he actually does it, I don't think it's imagination. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of ways, yeah. At night is really hard because it can be scary at night, and when you wake up in the middle of the night, yeah. It's good to have an emergency go-to like that, yeah. Any other comments?
I did the counting, like you said, I keep losing it.
Nah.
At the end there I got it, but it took so many goes to get back to the...
Okay. Yeah, so with the counting, yeah, you keep losing count, you keep losing.
I think it was about 12 or something.
Yeah, you keep going, yeah, that's right. And you keep going more.
Take me away from the counting.
Yeah. I suppose it's not a counting meditation, it's a breathing meditation, yes. Counting the breath, that's right, yeah. So, yeah, that's why I sort of choose 7 and then 21, because when you get to 21, you're actually at the first stage of calm abiding, which is the 9 stages of calm abiding, which is the 9 stages of developing single point of concentration. The first stage occurs when you can hold your concentration for 21 breaths, which is a couple of minutes, about 2 minutes. So it's whatever works, just whatever works. Everybody's different. Now, this is the first type of meditation, just the stabilising meditation. The stabilising meditations, there's a whole lot of them. Like we talked about the 9-point meditation, we talked about breathing meditations, there's all sorts of ones we can do. But generally they focus on having not too much, not following logical set of processes to get to an end point. They just focus on one thing and let the mind be still, and then generate happiness and joy as a result of that. The next sort of meditation we do is the more analytical meditations, and they are necessary. They are necessary. Because we need to have tools to deal with stuff that happens. Okay, so you wake up in the middle of the night and you're worried about something. You wake up in the middle of the night, or you're during the day and you're angry. You're during the day, something happens and you feel really sad, or something, feeling jealous or miserable for some reason. Certainly breathing meditation will help and give a little bit of relief, but we do have to have tools to understand those emotions, and tools to get rid of very negative emotions, such as like hatred, anger, jealousy, excessive attachment, these sort of emotions, envy, grasping, and to have other tools that can develop really positive emotions. And the ones we've really been focusing on in these classes is, first of all, love, and then compassion. They're the two, they're like the genesis of happiness, if we said, if we had to talk about two sort of emotional states or two psychological states that bring happiness and joy and contentment, both to oneself and to other people. It's love and compassion. So it's sort of like a winner. It's a no-brainer winner. And so, but to develop it is really quite complex. We can't just say, okay, everyone, we're going to meditate on love for the next 15 minutes. Just sit there and what am I going to do? I can't love that person. They're really shitty. That means they criticise me. I don't like that person. My neighbour gives me the shits. That person, my boss doesn't understand. I can't love those people, but I can love my cat. Okay, well, you start with your cat then, But so we develop love in one way or the other like that. And compassion too. I mean, I can feel compassion for the Royal Children's Hospital, some kid with leukemia. Feel compassion, but can I feel compassion for somebody who's done really bad things and is wealthy and seems to get away with it, and no one ever takes them to justice? Can I feel compassion for them? No, I can't. So we have this partial love, partial compassion, and we vacillate and da-da-da. But when we start, so we're going to talk a little bit about compassion. We're going to do a meditation on compassion. Compassion is a very simple thing. Compassion is the wish to be free of suffering. Now we take it for a living being to be free of suffering. That's all compassion is. It's a heartfelt wish. Now we start with some person or thing close to us, and then we expand it. So we start off on the easy ones. The easiest one is actually yourself. We all want to be free of suffering, so we actually develop compassion for ourselves. And this can be very, very profound. And actually, it's a start of a whole spiritual path by feeling compassion for ourselves, by understanding what our situation is. Then we realise that every aspect of our life has a component of dissatisfaction, a component of suffering with it. Every component of it. Okay, so I'm thirsty. I have a sip of water and thirst is gone. But that sip of water, if I kept sipping and kept sipping, that first sip of water is the start of the dissatisfaction or the suffering of drinking too much water. And then, okay, we're all wriggling at the moment. Okay, everyone's wriggling on the floor. We're all moving around. Okay, so I do that. Oh, I feel so good. It's the first moment of happiness of stretching my leg, but now my my butt gets sore and my other hip gets sore, so I've got to go back and do something else. And then, so everything we do is this dance of moving from one sort of dissatisfaction to something we call happiness. And then that, if we repeat that thing that's happiness, then it becomes dissatisfactory or suffering. So this is how we dance in life. We spend our whole life trying to avoid the obvious sufferings, thirst, hunger, war, cancer, separation from friends, all that sort of stuff. They're the obvious sufferings, and they're totally obvious. Everybody wants that. Even animals want that. Not even an animal. You walk along and put your foot beside an animal, gets scared because it doesn't want to die. It doesn't want you to kill it. So even animals have that aversion to that sort of suffering. But then there's the more subtle forms of suffering, which is what we call actual happiness. Sorry about this, guys, people in this room. Even what we call happiness is a type of suffering because it changes into dissatisfaction. There's probably something physiological about it. I mean, there's probably something physiological. Like I'd love to know, maybe there's a physiologist in the room, because if I do that, it's sort of quite nice. But if I did that for an hour, I'd be really upset, wouldn't I? And I think there must be something that triggers different, like nerves or fibres or something, or neurological, neurochemical changes. So everything we experience, nice, turns into suffering. And the more niceness we have, then our thresholds for experience it, so suffering drop. So if we're eating all the time, then we can't go without food for an hour. Whereas people who've come from other cultures and can go for long periods of time without eating and not suffering. So is there something like our body accommodates this grasping at happiness, and then makes us more sensitive to suffering? It's very interesting. I think it's a physiological thing. I really think. I haven't thought it through. But whatever. Some smart person can think it through for us. But so that is first of all there's the obvious suffering, and then there's the suffering of change. But then there's a different sort of suffering that we experience, which is really, really subtle, and a lot of philosophies and religions can't explain it or don't understand it, don't even think it exists, is because we are the products of what we call. If we said, well, what we're the products of? Well, we're the products of a sperm and the egg, mum and dad, and copulating and stuff. And then there's an ovum and a fetus, and bang, out we come. But in actuality, we're the product of karma, which is actions. And then we can talk about generally uncontrolled minds, the uncontrolled mind that creates action. So if we say, what are our two causes for existence, and what is the cause of existence of everything? It's the karma and the uncontrolled actions. The uncontrolled mind, so the actions that spring forth from the uncontrolled mind. So those two things, the uncontrolled mind and the actions. And from that comes our very existence, and comes everything we experience in life. So sometimes we can see it obviously. I mean, the war in Ukraine comes from actions that are created by an uncontrolled mind. The minds of anger, revenge, what other type of actions there are. So we can see that very explicitly there. But even everywhere we go, everything we do comes from action and the uncontrolled mind that perform those actions. Okay, so now that is our existence. When we understand this, we realise, oh my God, wow, the suffering, my experience in life is actually one of, you could say, perpetual dissatisfaction. If that's true, how can I get out? How can I get out? Well, I can't get rid of all the external suffering. So I can't get rid of all the cancers in the world. I can't get rid of all the poverty. I can't get rid of all the dictators, all the terrorists, all the neo-Nazis, all the whatever. I can't get rid of them all. They just keep coming back. The more you get rid of them, the more they come back. So you can't do that. Can you get rid of the fact that, suffering or happiness turns into suffering turns into happiness, blah, blah, that change, you can't really. So what we then have to go to is the root cause, which is the uncontrolled mind and the actions that occur. The uncontrolled mind and the actions. And if we can do that, if we could do that, then we would achieve ourselves a state of liberation, we call it, or nirvana. That is our personal state of liberation and nirvana, if we can do it. So complete freedom from suffering, complete freedom from suffering. But we focus on ourselves first. Next week we'll do it in terms of other people, and then blah. But you start with yourself. I mean, who's number one in this world? Me. I mean, you, yeah. You just got to point at yourself. Yeah. I'm number one. I really am number one. I mean, okay, I love other people. I love my family and the cat and everything. Okay. But really, I do love me most of all. So how can I do? So now, we're going to do a very simple meditation. A very simple meditation. It's going to be where I'm going to take on all the suffering that I experienced now, and even during the suffering during this meditation. I'm going to take it on now, and it's going to destroy that in the mind here, which is the cause of my suffering, that uncontrolled mind and karma. It's like sort of darkness in my soul, in my heart. I'm going to take on all that suffering and destroy that and be liberated and be free. And it becomes light. Ooh, light, nice experience, very nice experience. It's like opening, it's like the heart opens. Because suddenly there's no pain. Because you got rid of the cause of suffering, so there's no pain. Get rid of the root of the disease, and there's no disease. So, I'm going to take on all my suffering. Okay, there's the suffering. My knees ache. Let me take on the suffering of that and destroys the root cause. This uncontrolled mind and negative karma I've created. It destroys it. Then all the suffering I go through tomorrow. I take it on. I've got to go to work, I've got to do this, got to go to meetings, put up with people, I take it on, gradually, and it destroys. And as I take it on, it destroys this negative mind, these negative minds, and the negative actions. It completely destroys it, and I'm free. Then I go to the end of the week. Then what I can do is go to when death comes. End of my life. My end of life will be death. I'm going to take that on now. Gladly take it on. Take on that suffering. Completely destroy the cause of death and suffering, which is the uncontrolled mind and the negative karma that it creates. Completely destroy that. Then, gone. This life gone. But then there's next life. And then whatever endures in the next life, I take it on. And then there's the end of that life. And I keep going that, taking on it all to eventually, all that is completely destroyed. There is no longer any cause of suffering, no uncontrolled mind and the actions that had occurred. And I achieve the state of liberation. Complete freedom. Simple, isn't it? Suddenly it's like, bang, you're sort of liberated, your arhat, nirvana. It's sort of, by understanding it like this, it's sort of achievable. It's sort of, not achievable, it's achievable. It's understandable, the process. It's very, very simple. Very, very simple process. Very, very simple. So, we start with this because then when we then take the next step in this meditation, we start taking on other suffering. But we can't take on other suffering until we can deal with our own. It's like somebody who's, drowning, your loved one's drowning in the surf, and you run into the surf to save them, but you think, oh my God, I can't swim. Then you end up drowning, and the lifesavers have to save you. So if we can become a really good swimmer, then we can go into the surf and save our loved ones. But we've got to be a good swimmer. We've got to be a very good swimmer in this life, so we have to learn how to swim. So listen, is that sort of clear?
So you're saying just by virtue of inviting the suffering in, it dissipates?
But could you say that again? By inviting suffering in?
It dissipates.
Okay, very good. Okay, by inviting suffering in, did it dissipate? Okay, you've got to be very careful there. Good. When we're not so much inviting the suffering in, we're going to get the suffering by gladly taking on those experiences. So it's inevitable that my knees are going to be sore. I'm glad you're going to take that on. I'm not going to let it upset me, and it's going to destroy the root cause of my problems, which is the uncontrolled mind and the negative karmas. Okay, that's sort of easy. Now tomorrow, when I have an argument at work and somebody upsets me, okay, I'm going to take, let's say, I take their abuse or admonishment on me because it's destroying, like my ego mind. It destroys my ego mind, which it's my ego mind that's causing me the problems. You know, so destroy that and experience love and compassion for the other person. And then when the big things in life come, if I have to go to get sick and if I have to endure surgery, cancer, therapy, all that sort of stuff, gladly take it on, and it destroys the root cause, which is that uncontrolled mind and the negative karma. You're not like taking it on and it's going to sit there and fester. You're not sort of taking it on and it's going to become like a, you know, other people's sickness or your sickness is just going to get worse. It actually destroys the root of it. And by replacing it with openness, light and compassion, you're actually free. Because what causes a lot of our problem isn't so much the experience, it's our reaction to it. So if we can have the experience without that over-embellished reaction, negative reaction, then experience usually isn't that much. Yeah? It mightn't be that much. It mightn't be that shattering. It mightn't be that shattering. Sort of okay? Are we communicating or not? It's okay. Look, don't worry about it. Don't worry. She'll be right. She'll be right. She'll be right.
So,
Yeah.
are we essentially visualizing the suffering that is already there, rather than resisting it, we are using it to somehow liberate the causes of suffering. Is that?
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're okay. I'll try to. We're gladly taking on our suffering now, so it becomes the causes for us to be liberated from it in the future. Yeah, we are all going to undergo suffering. We've got a couple of choices. We can scream, yell, and poo our pants, and stomp up and down, and sort of, no, this can't happen to me, can't happen to me. Or we can say, yeah, look, this is the nature of experience. How can I put up with it? How can I grow from it? How can I benefit myself ultimately, but also not be a pain in the ass for everybody else too? Because, you know, things are going to happen. Things are going to happen. Yes, hello.
Hello. Is it Tongling? Is this Tongling?
Ah, yes, good. Yes.
Is it Tongling? I thought the same.
Yeah. I'm trying not to use those funky words. Yeah, but this is the basis of Tonglen meditation practice.
So essentially, white light, grey smoke is how I visualise it.
Yeah, cool.
I inhale white light.
Yeah, cool.
Into my
Perfect, yeah.
permeate into my centre and exhale grey smoke.
Yeah.
That grey smoke is all the afflictions,
Yeah,
and
sure.
powers, etc. And the white light is the compassion, the love,
Yeah, sure.
and the
Cool.
problems.
Cool. Yeah. So Tonglen. Yeah,
It's different what you're calling it.
nah, it evolves into it. It evolves into it.
Oh, totally. As I understand, I've seen it. In Tonglen, you can either imagine that you bringing all the bad and converting to good for others,
Mhm.
yourself for others, or the other way around. Whereas here, you're using something bad to destroy something worse.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, good. You something bad to destroy something. That's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah, I like
So
that.
it's not the same
That's
as,
good, yeah.
as this idea of absorbing the bad and returning good outwards, but rather using small bad to destroy big bad.
Yeah, good. That's a good idea. I like it, yeah. There are many different ways, yeah. Yeah, we're trying to. If we said what is the cause of all our problems, it's the ego mind. And that is the like uncontrolled mind and the karma that's been created. That is the cause of our problem. It's not our boss, it's not our wife, our ex-husband, it's not our kids, it's not even the cancer, it's the ego mind. So we're destroying the ego mind.
I have one more question.
Yeah, sure.
I assume it's inevitable that your ego at some stage is going to try to stop you from. So, do you have any tips on how to do that? Because
Okay. You can assume quite rightly that the ego is going to kick up a fight, because if the ego has been something that's fought for its existence since beginningless time, and what are some of the techniques we can use to sort of conquer that ego? If we keep it simple, love and compassion does a lot, goes a long way. Love and compassion, because you're thinking about somebody else rather than yourself. So with love, we really do think about somebody else's needs. With compassion, we think, I want to take on somebody, get rid of somebody else's suffering. So that in itself, so that conquers a lot of the ego. But then, really, at its heart, then we understand what's called emptiness, the lack of true existence of all phenomena and persons. That destroys the ego, that ego self-cherishing mind. That is true. Sorry, there's another question in the back.
Well, I'm just thinking, what you're saying to try, as a method of trying to bring in, something positive, not to get overwhelmed by it,
Yeah.
also finding other things, to look at other things and other people to distract, that can sometimes distract you without being over. The thing only in this question is that sometimes, however can endure this, the pain and something can sometimes become overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Like there was a case back in 96 where there was this guy Bob Dent who was a Buddhist, but then he got such very bad pain and suffering from cancer that he asked, was it Dr. Philip Niski, he asked him for relief to do, because it was simply, he couldn't, apparently the pain got so overwhelming that he couldn't, so, I don't know how it conflicts with Buddha, but he felt like he had no choice. So to a point of how do we deal with our limited resources? We have sort of limited resources within ourselves to be able to, we can only try our best
Sure.
to do whatever.
I love your answers. You say we have limited resources, we can only try our best. That's your answer. Okay, so we're starting now to deal with the big gorilla that's going to walk into our life in another month, tomorrow, next day, the end of our, whatever. There's a big gorilla going to rip our arms off. It's okay, so let's deal with the little mouse that's sort of jumping around and just learn how to deal with it. And we do that. We deal with the little things now. And if we can't deal with our own situation, how can we help other people? Getting back to the analogy of saving someone in the surf. We can't do that unless we swim. We have to learn how to swim. And you don't learn how to swim by doing 1,500 metres. You learn by dog paddling. And, so we're dog paddling and keeping your nose above the water. Then you learn how to do a stroke, and then you learn how to breathe, and then you can do a lap. You don't start doing 1,500 metres with Ian Thorpe. No one starts like that. You start by keeping your nose above the water and just dog paddling. So we're dog paddling. Yeah, I love this. This is so cool.
There's a book in the bookstore called Taming Your Mind, the 8 verses in Taming Your Mind by Bishop Berger.
Oh, great.
So it's about it gives you tools
Yeah.
to be able to control or manage
Yeah.
your thoughts, and you were talking about the ego.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's worth reading.
Very good. So Geshe Doga is the Tibetan Lama who lives here. He was born in Tibet and fled Tibet when the Chinese invaded. He's 87, 88 this year he's turning. Incredible. He's a Tibetan master, Tibetan tantric master. Yeah. So anything he writes or says is true from a deep well of experience. Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Is there any life after death as far as Buddhism is concerned? Like, in other words, is heaven, hell, or whatever, or is there any life after?
Is there life after death in terms of Buddhism? Yes. And there was a life before this one.
So is it kind of like with the Hindu, with the reincarnation, that we come back as a different form?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we come, due to reincarnation, we come back in different forms of life, yeah. Now, different schools of philosophy have different views. I mean, this is our view. I mean, we're a Buddhist. You're in a Buddhist place. This is the Buddhist view, you know. I was brought up a Catholic where it wasn't like that. We were produced from God. We had this life, and then after life we went to various places depending on the virtue or non-virtue we've created. But our Buddhist view is that this life is the creation of previous life, and this life will be the creation of the next one. Yeah, let's hope.
What is nirvana? Is it like kind of peaceful oblivion, or is it kind of...
Yeah, good question. That's a band. Kurt Cobain, wasn't it? Yeah, he's gone. He went to Nirvana, maybe. No, okay, so Nirvana's... Okay. So Nirvana is a very specific thing. It's not just a state of peaceful oblivion, because we can actually find that state of peaceful oblivion ourselves by meditating, and we can still the mind and go into a trance-like deep meditative state. And that state is not nirvana, it's very temporary. And eventually that meditative equipoise will cease, and then we'll realise we're still trapped. But no, nirvana means, at a really deep level, to destroy those two things. That negative karma we've created, and that crazy mind at its most subtle level. And in particular, as this young lady has said, to destroy the ego mind at its deepest, most subtle level. Once we've done that, then we're liberated, because we can no longer create the negative karma and the deluded minds which keep us trapped here. We're running out of time, but that was so cool. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much, you know. I mean, we can keep going forever, but people have got places to go, people to meet and whatever. So it's lovely. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that, and I love hearing people's opinions, because they're very wise people and lots of different experiences. So thank you very much for sharing them. We'll continue this next week, and then that'll be lovely. I look forward to seeing you. So if you want a cup of tea up there, I'll sit here and talk if people want to come up and talk. Otherwise, have a cup of tea in the dining room, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you.